Hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Coffee Table Talks. Thank you for testing that out, Will. You're awesome. Today we're going to be talking with Tosin, a Service Engagement Operations Manager with Eli Lilly, and we'll get to why I'm excited about this in just a second. With me, as always, is Will McCullen, the Program Manager at the IT Center for Excellence at PIMA Community College in Tucson, Arizona.
You're so good at that,
I'm doing
man.
so good. It's like I could do it in my sleep now.
Sometimes I want you to do like 10 times real fast.
No, absolutely not. I'm not doing any of that. And if this is your first time here, hi, it's lovely to meet you. My name is Rachel Arnold. I am the Human API with SecureNation, and this is my circus. Welcome. This is my, I love doing this. Anyhow, so I had the awesome pleasure of running into Tosin in a digital realm. We've never actually met in person, but through lots of loopy, timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly things, all of my paths in life were going to lead to Tosin. Like, just absolutely going to lead to Tosin. Our friend who has been on previous episodes of the Coffee Table Talks, Mike Loggins, worked with Tosin at SMC when he was the CISO there. My very good childhood best friend, Sarah McNally, worked in similar circles as Tosin at Eli Lilly when she was with SHI, and then as well was brought over to SMC at one point. And I think during one of our conversations, Tosin, I was like, do you know Sarah? Did you know Sarah? Yeah.
Yes, I know her. Yeah. She was a business analyst at SMC.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe they're just being kind, but they said she did great things. I introduced Sarah to Mike, actually, because it was a long time ago, but I introduced the two of them because Mike was looking for someone very similar to me, and Sarah McNally is 1,000%. Like, that's my like, we're cut from the same cloth. We drank the same water. We lived down the street from each other. Her mom basically helped raise me. Like, we're very close-knit. Anyhow, so when I came across Tosin, I was like, I think we haven't done anything on someone in your position before. And I think it's super important that we kind of expose how, right, you don't have to be deeply technical to be a huge asset to this industry, right?
Yes.
So, and I'm so glad you're here. So thank you so much. And we see you guys in the comments, Chris, Britt, and Will. Kool-Aid. Who's drinking Kool-Aid? Anyhow, so can we start with, what is a service engagement operations man? What do you do on a daily, like, what's your ins and outs?
So, yes, I work for Eli Lilly. I'm happy to be here, first of all. Thank you, Rachel, for bringing me on board. Thank you, Will. Nice to meet you guys. On a day-to-day, I work with awesome people to bring in digital transformation type of work into my business unit without going too much into the details. So It's more around everything around services, right? New things coming into the organizations. Some of those come through me, come through my colleagues, maintaining operations of the current things that we're working on, and then being a liaison between different IT organizations to be able to bring the solutions that they need. Some of that is cybersecurity, some of that is cloud, some of them is critical applications, and some of that is also enhancing our processes and procedures.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. Very cool. So you're like, somebody would look up from their digital workspace and go, I need this. And they would approach you and the team first.
Yes.
Kind of. That's cool.
Or maybe they have this coming and then they need someone to help bring that on board. And they approach my team, and then we find someone that can work with them based on their experience and based on the type of technology. So when it's cybersecurity, that's me. And when it's something else, that's someone that's on the team, something around that. Yeah.
So there's an industry, like, kind of standard thing, right? That for years and years and years, cybersecurity departments have been known as the Department of No, right? And then there's all these people that come by and they're like, let's change that, right?
Yes.
Your role in your company amongst your team and cross department seems like you're very much so an enabler. You're
Yes.
you're a department of yes. Like you
Yes.
actually, you're like, yes, we will figure that out, right?
Yes.
Like
yes. It's yes. We try not to say no. Try to say
Yeah.
yes to most things and find ways to get things done. And then also explaining the why to people. Why you need this, because I understand from a user's perspective, it's easy for me to get on my applications, but now cybersecurity people are coming here and making things harder for me.
Right.
Well, no, we're not making it harder for you. We're making sure that you're not the point of entry, for cybersecurity threats into the organization. And then also, it's not that we're trying to overprotect the application. We're trying to make sure that it's well protected enough in a way that is secured. You can do your work securely and at the same time deliver value. So making them understand the why is also a big part of the job.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's very
So
cool.
be honest. I mean, how many times do you have to go back to the firewall folks and go, really? They're trying to get stuff done, right?
That's awesome. It's kind of like, right. So my kids have been pestering me lately about why it is that I make them wear their helmets when they ride a bike. And they're trying so hard to like, mommy, please just let. I'm like, no, absolutely not. You're going to put on your right. But that's the enablement part, I think, of so that I swear this metaphor is going to make sense. Just hold on a second. So folks within your organization come to you and they say, I want to ride my bike.
Mm-hmm.
And you go, yes, but you have to wear your helmet and your safety gear, right?
Yeah.
And then they come back and push back and you go, well, this is why.
Yes.
Right. So that's the understanding the why part.
Yeah. It's also more to say, this is what has happened to people in the past when they don't have their gears on. So this is a picture of someone that is now feeling better, that had an accident based on the fact that they don't have their helmet on. Would you like to be this person? And it's more, oh no, I don't want to. Okay, yeah, that is why let's be proactive and prevent this from happening instead of being reactive and fixing the problem after it happened.
Right. That's awesome. That's so cool. Like I made a metaphor work on the spot. Look at me go. That's so good. The reason I thought about it was because we had a team lunch for SecureNation yesterday, just locally in Baton Rouge, and our CEO, fearless leader John Davis, was telling us how his son, his kids are about the same age as my kids, so they're like reckless wild cats.
I have an 8-year-old son too, so I can relate.
Yes. So yeah, that age, right? And his kiddo did not do safety gear on the bike, and like really like some road rash situation where he definitely kissed pavement kind of thing. And yeah, so I came home and immediately started telling of course yesterday they were like, where my helmet? And I was like, well, Mr. John's kid ate pavement the other day, so wear it, right? But I hate the fear and uncertainty and doubt. But I like having stories like that to kind of highlight why being proactive is so much. It's just a better way to be. Like,
yes, it makes it like a win-win, right?
Right.
I'm trying to help make your life better this way.
It's gonna be wear your helmet.
That's kind of a bigger picture, right, Tosin? I mean, you've got this awesome challenge where you're dealing with the technical folks that stereotypically, folks, for all of us knob twisters, there are people out there, and the reason we're doing what we're doing is for the people, right? You get to go through and help the whole company realize that, hey, folks, this is about how to save us all. We're really a big team, and I know all those knob twisters can be impolite at times, but they're really trying to help you.
Yeah.
That's a challenge.
It is.
So how did you get into this role? Like how did you get started? What was kind of your path?
So at SMC, I was in the security team over there, and we were also going through agile transformation. And then I had previous background in being a Scrum Master, and then I had my product ownership certification through SMC. So that path made me realize that there's a human side to the technical side of things. Okay, if I can code all day or analyze security incidents or events, and I can't properly explain the why to my manager or to the other departments, then it's hard for them to see the value in the work we do.
Right.
So, and that make me pursue ITIL, kind of go forward into understanding ITIL types of bringing different type of organizations together, making people understand the why focusing on value, things around that. And that kind of ignite my passion to say, okay, with my cybersecurity background, if I can understand a little bit more about the business, that will help me help the organization see value in cybersecurity. I don't really have to sit in the InfoSec organization to bring value to cybersecurity. So when I was my time at SMC, when I was starting to look for other opportunities, that was an option for me. Services, everything around services, operations that has to do with cybersecurity. So when I saw the role, it spelled out service engagement operations, spelled out cybersecurity background, spelled out a couple of things that I'm interested in, and I know that I have the background to bring value to. So I applied for the role and I got it. So
that's awesome. I like it. Very cool. So you're not you're not necessarily a traditional professional in this space. So how did you, right? So you and I'm trying to figure out how to get you to talk about the journey to why does Tosin live in Indiana? Like that part without telling your story for you. So let's do that part where we're like with the community college bit background, right? I'm trying not to give it all away.
Okay. So I was born and raised in Lagos, Nigeria. I moved to the States in 2009. And the story back home is different from what I learned when I moved here, to understand that there are steps to you coming here and enjoying the benefit and opportunities that the United States has to offer. So I came here and then understood that, okay, I need to complete step 1, 2 before I get to 3, 4, 5, and 6. So during that time, I was able to also share that information back with my friends back home to say, well, it's not what you guys think. This is what it really looks like here. So during that time, I've always had passion for technology. We don't have, back then, now it's different. We don't have access to Wi-Fi or live internet. It's more a cafeteria based, like the library here, where you go in there and get some time to do some things, and then you pay for those times back home. Then I saw that the house I was living at, we have internet all day long. I can sit by the computer and do what I want. So I'm like, okay, I think it's time. I would like to go to school for for something in tech. But I didn't decide at the time. And then the incident happened with, I think it was a 7-Eleven, where they had a cyber threat happen. And then I kind of read more into that at the time. And I said, okay, I think this is purposeful for me, doing something in cybersecurity, something I like to do. And when the time came for me to be able to go to college, I already had a child. I was married. So I'm like, okay, I can do a 4-year straight degree. That's not me anymore. So I went to Ivy Tech Community College. So I had my cybersecurity information and assurance. And then after that, and I got a job. That was around the time I got a job through Michael Loggins. He just reached out to me on LinkedIn and we wanted to chat. And then I met him. He was on a polo shirt. I'm like a vice president on a polo shirt, just chatting with you. It was really cool. So like, I like to work for him. And then he gave me the opportunity. I started as a cybersecurity analyst at SMC. So a year into that, I thought, okay, it's time for me to go back for my bachelor's degree in cybersecurity information assurance. So I went to Western Governors University. I believe I was well grounded at Ivy Tech, understanding the end zone, and I know that I can focus online and study hard and then walk through my courses and then my bachelor's degree. And that was what I did at Western Governors University.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. I like all of that. I love all the things. That was, that's similar. I know people have heard me talk about Joshua before, my spouse. He did something very similar. He was a little more squirrely about it. He bounced around quite a few more jobs before he found that that leader really that was willing to help and develop and mentor and coach, right? Through
Yes.
and just give him an opportunity, like a great opportunity, right? And he started out at a community college level, got his associates, got into work. He did. Will, that's why you love us so much. Right. And it was very similar. So when Josh decided to go back to school, we already had 2 kids and a third one on the way, right? And then our house flooded in 2016 and we lost everything. So this man literally was going to work full time. We both were, right? But I was definitely way more on the childcare end of it because I was very pregnant as well. I couldn't do a lot of the work in our home to fix it. So he would go to work 40 hours a week, then do cleanup at our house, right? Because when there's widespread flood in an area, something a lot of people don't think about is, yeah, sure, there's contractors from out of state and workers from out of state that are coming, but there's still never enough. So
Yeah.
a lot of the rudimentary like cleanup and demolition, that's usually on the homeowners and their friends and family. So he would do that in the afternoons, and then in the evening he was plugging away at that bachelor's at an online kind of thing. And I just having your family life, and then also having this plan and this drive for the passion and pursuing that even in a non-traditional way. But you know what? You made the damn thing happen. Like
it's midnight for me. Yeah.
right?
It's midnight, not going to bed,
Right.
And then taking my exams when everybody's asleep, sneaking out of the room,
Yeah.
getting things done. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so that's an awesome story, and especially from your background, that really states that takes a lot of internal fortitude, a lot of internal drive.
It does.
When I got to imagine, because I work with a lot of students, there's times when that's really hard. There's times when you doubt. There's times when you're wondering if it will turn into something. What motivated you through those times, and what did you do to overcome?
Great question. So when I was at Ivy Tech, I was also working at Beckman Coulter at the time, and I met a man that said that I went to school, but I would like for you to go through school by finding organizations that has values that matches yours, that can help you when you're out of school. You don't just, so that way you build network and connections. So I joined a couple of women in tech programs at school where they'll bring in CISOs, women in tech, the leadership, women in leadership, and they'll come in to talk about their stories and their experiences through college and while being a full-time employee at the same time, a mom, and balancing things out. So yes, I've had that days when I'm so tired and I have to drive down to downtown to take this course.
Yeah.
The background is me growing up, right? I grew up in Lagos, Nigeria, where my family we kind of survived on about $10 a week. So it wasn't that easy. So I don't want that life for myself and for my kids. I wanted them to have a better life. That was my first reason why. And the second one is looking at this women that have achieved a lot in doing it in the field. I'm like, okay, I can be that woman. I can be her. If she went through everything I'm going through right now, and she's telling a positive story about it, I think I can do the same thing that she did, talking about how she had 4 kids, the husband, a home, and going to school, even while working any certifications. So I'm like, yeah, I can do this. So looking at those people that have done it, having mentors, my background and my desire to learn helped me through those times.
That's fantastic. Because I've noticed time and time again, you mentioned having others come in and talk about how they did it, their background. So many times, in one of the fallacies of the American education institution is that you just go through and you check the right boxes and then you get to where you need to go. And then students hit that reality of once they've come out of higher ed, oh, it doesn't automatically happen. Oh, you have to go out and get a job. Oh, did you have any revelation moments along those lines that you're like, how did it click for you?
So it's patience for me, right? That's the first thing. I understand the assignment of it takes time. You don't just walk out of college automatically and you start making it. So it takes, yeah, it takes time, and it takes you having some goals that is flexible. So I told myself that after college, I can drive 2 hours from home because I have kids, because I have this, because I have that. But then for my first job, I had to be flexible. And then sometimes they tell you, in what area of cybersecurity would you want to work? Yes, I have some areas that I would like to work in, but what opportunities are in front of me also matters, right? If I
Right.
don't have that opportunity in that domain at a time, whatever opportunity that I have to jump at it for me to be able to have that experience to do the job. So when my first offer came, it wasn't a full-time role. I needed a full-time role. It was a contract to hire role. It was 45 minutes away from home and sometimes 1 hour depending on traffic. But I have to take it to put my experience together and just assume and look at it as an internship. I put my best into it. I learn as much as I can, bring value back, and I know for sure they'll keep me a full-time hire. I was hired in 3 months instead of in 6 months because of that set, right?
Nice.
Because I went in, found problems, and start walking through the problems, not just saying these are problems, but start finding solutions or possible solutions to those problems, and that really helped me to walk up the ladder to where I am. So it's more to say, I know that I'm not gonna make it the money right offset without the experience, without people knowing who I am and what I bring to the table. It's kind of being my own salesperson and then showing them what I have and what I got and how I can bring value to the organization.
That's fantastic.
I just like her so much. I like her so. I think Gregor had a question he's one of our frequent YouTube viewers. Where's Gregor?
Deutschland.
That's it. I was like, isn't he? Is it Germany? I think so. Yeah. And he was asking.
Wie geht's?
he was asking what kind of, if you had any tips or tricks to help take notes during classes and stuff like that. And I left it up there, but I didn't want to interrupt the train of thought that you were on either. So I feel like I waited too long and now it's so irrelevant. We're gonna have to go way back into like the college section of our conversation. But yeah, so I didn't know if you had any
Yes,
fun.
I'm an old school person, even if I'm not old yet. I'm more of a pen and paper type of person. It helps me retain the things that I've learned. I'm still struggling with being able to kind of type things on. That writing it just makes it closer to my heart, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm in class, I try to prep before class because it depending on how tiring that day was, it's going to determine my focus in class that evening because it's evening class. So I prep ahead of time, see how I can walk through some of my assignment before getting to class. And when the instructor comes in to talk about those things that I talk about, kind of find those gaps that I saw while I was prepping for that class and ask those questions, get help with that question, kind of stay a little later to ask for more clarification. So those are the things that helped me through school. And then writing those notes, I have to go back and while I'm studying from the book, I still have to write notes on my understanding of that passage or my understanding of that paragraph in my own words and in my own terms. So that helped me a lot too.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah, I was a pre-class prepper too, but I would have a page dedicated to a portion of the topic that I knew that we were about to discuss in the class and like kind of have those things. And then anyway, by the time I was done, my walls looked like one of those conspiracy theorists because I would have these different pages up and I would move the concepts around because I'm that weirdo. It's also how I help a lot of like SecureNation clients whenever we're putting together like a cybersecurity program from a software and maybe professional services standpoint. Like whenever I start mapping out like the plan for how we're going to implement all these steps together. Right. It's crazy. I have like red string and everything and I don't sleep for 2 or 3 days.
It feels like puzzles, right? It feels like puzzles at first. You have different parts of it. And at the end of it, you're able to put it all together and it makes sense at the end of it. So
Right. Right. And then, you get to play with it and move it around and make it flow different ways and do the what ifs and have everybody else come look at your crazy wall of psycho. But anyway,
Well, that's because you're a hacker at heart, right? That is IT in a nutshell. Trying to take the vague, the undefined, pull together all those different items and try to figure out how to make the system work and work well.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. That's a process. I always talk about it. It's all about processes and procedures. It doesn't matter how much you're good with technology. If you don't understand from your point A to point Z, you're going to miss something out. So it's just mapping it out and walking through it.
Yeah. So how much technical knowledge did you need to gain for what you do in the position? Like, how deep is the technical stick? Like, I mean, obviously you need to be able to speak more technically minded, engineer and architecture type levels, right? So that you can bridge that gap.
Yes.
And what happens whenever something is mentioned in, maybe some sort of engagement that you're involved with that you don't understand the concept? Do you stop then and ask, or are you a Googler to the side?
So I ask questions right on the spot, depending on the timing of the meeting and the audience of the meeting. Sometimes that matters. I don't want to kind of obstruct if we have important things to pass across. Right. And then if I can't do that at time, I schedule one-on-one with the SMEs to have those conversations with them to understand the background, the understanding, the systems, the connections to what we're talking about. And also before I do that, I Google and then find things out first. And then when I meet with them, it helps make sense. That's the kind of prep that I usually do when I was in school. So I still do that now to say, okay, I put my notes down. Some of these things I don't understand. I go online, find information about it. And then when I schedule my one-on-one, they know that I did my homework. That makes it easier for them also to explain things better to me. So that's why I do that too. And then my technical experience also, background helps a lot in understanding some of what they're talking about. It's different from someone that is a basic project manager. It's different from someone that has that background. So when you're talking to me about incident or incident response, you're talking to me about some tools that I've worked with in the past. It's easier for me to relate with you. The conversation is different. You see the excitement in the eyes of the SMEs when you're talking intelligently to the things that they're talking about. So it helps me bring more value. And I also intend to pursue more technical certifications and keep my technical skills intact because I don't know what the future holds. So whenever the opportunity comes, I'm ready to jump on it. So
that's awesome.
That triggered a thought for me there. That's really, really powerful. One of the things that you said in there was to ask questions. Yes. And being in those situations, you obviously are awesome and have a great deal of strength of character. Have you ever been in situations where you were either had anxiety about asking the questions or were worried about what that might do? And have you also probably had, my guess would be, revelations of how much that helped everybody else in the room by clarifying and simplifying the concept?
Yeah, to be honest, I've had moments where I have that anxiety to say, oh my God, what if? But then I'm like, I would rather ask for help when I need it than get stuck in my brain wondering what would have happened, I should have. So I ask anyway and say, okay, I'm going to ask anyway. Whether or not you think I'm dumb, I'm going to ask that question anyway. I'm not going to ask you next time because I asked you the first time. So when I'm asking you a question again, it's different. It's from a place of understanding. So I go in the mentality of I'm a big person when it comes to building relationships. And then it doesn't matter your experience in the industry, 0 months to 35 years. I come with a mentality of help me understand. I like to learn more about this. Even if I have basics, I know I'll learn more when you explain the whole thing to me all over again than me just coming and being cocky saying, I know some of this now. Help me understand this from your own perspective. And I usually learn more compared to what I learned in the past about whatever the subject is.
That's fantastic.
I felt that anxiety before, and I mentioned it. It was somebody that was a sort of a pseudo mentor for me, like just one of those in and out mentors, right? Like nothing like standard, very. But anyway, anyhow, and I mentioned that I was like, what if I was in this conversation the other day and I didn't understand what they were talking about, and it was around a data pipeline or something. And I asked questions to the side about it. And I was like, I feel so inferior having this conversation and not understanding and having to stop, because it looks like what I'm asking are basic concepts for them. And my mentor gave me a great piece of advice, which was, if you knew in depth everything it was that they were doing, you would be working their position. You
True.
don't. You need them to know everything about what it is that they are doing.
True.
You need to know enough from them to do what you are specialized at.
True.
And you should never, ever not ask a question. Always
True.
ask a question, especially, he's like, it's going to be weird if, you're the director of operations and strategy and you're like, how does this operate? Right? Like, well, director, right? Like, how does it operate? Like, that's different. But when it comes to asking those deeply technical questions, you should be bold and right. And exactly to Tosin's point too, like, right, the context of the meeting, it may be a larger audience, it may be distracting, that kind of stuff. That's what I really love about in meeting chats though too, is you can kind of utilize it as a parking lot for your meeting for questions, right? Where different folks can put questions up there, or if you are, I don't ever see a reason to not ask somebody a question in your own internal communications channels for your organization, right? Just kind of, or like just text them to the side. Kind of thing. And they'll get back to you later, right? And then it's also not distracting because hopefully they're not staring at their phone during the meeting. But
this is one of your superpowers, Rachel. And Tosin, it sounds like you're in the same areas, that you have the ability to just kind of simplify and put it out on the table. Hey, everybody, let's look at this. I don't quite get how this is working. Can we just put it on the table and look at it? And I would bet both of you have lots of experience of coming across the experts that when they try to explain something, you find out that maybe there's some gaps there, because I know there is in everything in IT that we do, right? So don't you come across that?
Yeah, that happens a lot of time. And I also understand that some of the SMEs, they're always proud to talk about what they know and how they do what they know, right? So when I ask those questions and I see those gaps, it also helped them understand how to put it together. Because some technical people are bad at communication. It's not that.
No.
It's because they're good at what they do. They're really hands-on, and trying to explain that to people sometimes is not easy to everybody, or trying to put that into writing. That's why we have some technical writers. It's not easy for them. So when you ask those questions, that helps them explain it in lay terms, in a way that you can really understand it, and it helps them too. When you ask those questions, you have them to explain better. So, okay, let me break it down. And then they kind of come down and break it down to a place where you can understand easily, than going deep into the technical jargons, So, yeah.
I had one of my favorite SMEs was like, he's such a doll. He was the best and would break down stuff to the point where he would help by just using like a digital whiteboard and drawing me pictures. And we would have like, we called it arts and crafts. So and then and then we would sit and like, just the ability to teach somebody or to learn from someone, right? That is such a great rapport building exercise. Like, we would laugh so hard. And during those sessions, I really miss them. Can you tell I miss those little Rachel has questions sessions? Yeah. But it was like, it was just the best. I absolutely loved it. And I think it's so important to have those moments to stop, ask questions, get pictures drawn for you. If you need pictures, I'm a pictures kind of girl. It's fine. And it was such a great way for us to really build up that camaraderie that so many people do miss whenever they're working with remote teams. Right. And work from home or hybrid environments kind of thing. And it's great. Ask questions. Do the questions.
And not everybody can see the gaps right there, right? There's some people that just can. Some people need to go sleep over it to start thinking about there's a gap in that conversation or in that technical meeting. But the ability to sit right there and ask that question helps them from that having to think about it all night, because you're able to ask that question right there and solve the problem for everybody else,
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've come home. My wife said, "Well, what did you do today?" And I said, "Well, I drew a lot of boxes and lines on boards."
Yes, lots with little arrows that are like, well, it goes from here to here, then to here.
Yes, that helps. Yes.
But then also, what I find, and I bet you can articulate a whole lot better, you need to put in a lot of encouragement in those sessions as well, right? To make sure that everybody is feeling safe.
Yes. Most people are welcoming also, I've never asked a question and somebody look at me like, that's a stupid question. That everyone is always willing to answer those questions, because it's always like a light bulb. The simplest question just kind of change the conversation, helps the person explain better.
Right.
So no question is dumb, no question is stupid in my opinion. I'll ask anyways if I have the opportunity to and the time to depending on the audience, like I mentioned. And I know if I can ask at that moment that I'll have to kind of go back to it later. I need to get answers to it all. It's gonna bother me all day long.
Oh man, we had this great. So last week, we didn't do coffee table talk last week. Will needed the break, I think. But side note, the other reason was I did my very first in-person presentation live thing with people in the room. Y'all, my room was packed too. There were people standing against the back wall.
Yeah, I haven't heard about this from you yet. We'll
yeah. Okay.
And get details.
Yeah, I think I told Tosin that I was going to it. It was Detroit. Did I mention Detroit? Okay,
yes,
great.
Yes.
And for the our audience, the coffee table, like you diehard coffeeholics. If y'all remember the episode a couple of episodes back where we got to talk with Wolfgang Gorlick and Dr. Stephanie, right? So they're like this fun power couple in cybersecurity, kind of, like, for me anyway, from my perspective. I don't know if anybody else, but I think they are. I think they're a very powerful couple. Dr. Stephanie is a certified sex therapist. There's lots of other things that go into that. You can go back and check out the episode if you want to learn more. A very cool person, is married to Wolfgang Gorlick, who was with Duo and Cisco bought Duo, so now he's with Cisco. I don't know. Anyway, he's the guy that they send out to go talk to all the people about all the cybery things at different conferences. So he conferences quite a bit, and is usually a keynote, if not one of the bigger speakers that arrive. He also offers some sort of like CISO consultative services through Cisco. I don't know. It's really cool, guys. Go check it out. So they decided, with that partnership between the two of them, from a sex therapy angle and then a technologist side, that they wanted to combine these two groups of people that they worked with, because they saw so much overlap between the two, that they put on a conference, and it was last week in Detroit, called Securing Sexuality. I was invited to speak at that conference about dating like a hacker. And it wasn't necessarily a topic I didn't pitch this topic. Okay. I was a little voluntold. This is your topic. And it was I had to do a lot of research, because what the whole point of the thing was, so these clinicians, right, therapist side, they interact with a lot of their patients in a digital realm, right? Their patients are doing a lot of digital dating, and they're very sexually diverse crowd of folks that are into some very niche things, and they are very concerned about their privacy and, keeping their romantic life very separate from everything else in their life. So the talk was basically an explanation of how to navigate digital spaces in a safe and the most secure private way, right? Without being unethical about how you present yourself as a person to the rest of this community of people that they're involved with. It's like a BDSM type community, kink, they call them kink community, that sort of place, right? So you don't want to present yourself in such a way where you're not, you want to use your name, right? Like you want to be an authentic person, genuine person. And the coolest side conversations came out of this conference between just bringing these people that were so not cybersecurity minded at all. Well, little, right? But not at the depth. And then also the technologist learned so much about what's really important to this group of people. And it gave us, we had so many very interesting conversations around what consent means. We had really in-depth conversations around, so to us, right, that your apps and your traffic, right, your network traffic can be monitored, collected, watched, right, it's logged somewhere, and you know how to kind of get around that if you want to be a little more less trackable. The clinicians had no idea that whenever they logged onto like their company devices, that there's some people on the cybersecurity team or the IT team sitting over there. And they were like, what do you mean they watch what websites I go to? And I was like, okay, so I see I have incited panic. Please don't panic. It's not like they're gonna try to collect this information on you to blackmail you. Like they're your good people. They're the good people. They're just monitoring.
It's just there for them to see.
Right. Just so you know, they know what hallways you walk down and which rooms you go into. You know what I mean? Like it's security, right? Yeah. They, just think of it like just like physical security, digital security. They know because there's cameras, they can watch you, right? Like they know what you're doing. Like don't pick your nose in front of the camera. Yeah. Like just so you know, go get it. Yeah. And it was so cool because we would have all of these huge in-depth questions about things. And as I'm going through this, like dating like a hacker and how to understand instead of just scrolling past your terms and conditions in the EULA, whenever you accept, yes, I accept all these terms, whatever, blah. Yeah. They were like, well, nobody reads those because it's in so much legalese. And I was like, so I review contracts pretty regularly, looking for things that, clients may want to change or renegotiate and that kind of stuff. Here's a great fun thing for AI. Take all in the free versions. You can use the free versions for this. Don't use the free version for everything, but for Chat GPT, for example, right? The open AI. If you take your terms and conditions of your applications and copy pasta, put it into Chat GPT and then ask it specific questions about pull out the highlights regarding my personal data privacy. Rewrite this in an outline format. Rewrite this in like this tone rather than the legalese. Mm-hmm. That was like the fact of my whole talk. I should have just focused on that. They were like the light bulbs in their room came on. They were like, oh, I was like, don't put your personal stuff, but somebody else is already like public terms and conditions and stuff like that. This is a great tool for that, to pull out and help you understand what's happening in this body of text. Like that, they all were. One of them was like, how do you get to one of those? And it was just this level of, I thought that their understanding was at a certain level, right? But after speaking with them and just what I find is rudimentary knowledge in my section of the world is actually super valuable for me to explain to somebody else.
Yes.
And that is such a very cool moment when you realize that, like, I didn't even have to try that hard. All I had to do was me. That was it? That was, you want to be friends now? Oh my gosh, this is great.
Yeah. Yes.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Someone didn't read their
I never
acceptance.
thought of that. I'm going to now chunk a whole bunch of EULAs into ChatGPT. That's a good way of going at it, trying to find different.
See, and look, and Will, you are like 1,000 times more brilliant than I. But maybe for now it's the fact of the talk today. You know, like I got to teach Will something, a neat way to utilize free open source AI generated, like large language model. There you go. There's your free. Again, do not put
your personal
put your personal information into free versions of large language models, okay? Or your business secrets.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen those headlines? I was like, why didn't they know better? And then I was like, oh wait, that's us. We didn't tell them.
Yeah.
Our bad. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I got on a rant. I wanted to tell you about the conference. It went really well. It was fantastic. I had a great time. I drank a martini or 4. I don't know. It was great. It was a good time.
So now I can see Tosin going back to her folks saying, okay, everybody, take your acceptable use agreement, go to ChatGPT. Ask these questions. It'll help.
Make it easier.
Look, I'm not even cool enough to be multilingual. All right. I understand a lot of the rude and foul words in Spanish. That's about it. Okay. I also speak bad English, and just regular Americanized English. When it comes to looking like my first interaction with reading through terms and conditions, EULAs, agreements, NDA, like all these things, right? I'm not a lawyer. I don't speak lawyer. Right? It's frustrating. And you have to it's really hard. And I cannot imagine how hard it is for me. That's my native language and I can't understand it. Right? How hard it is for anybody that English is not their first language to then take that nuanced, jargon-filled document and try to understand it. But with tools like that would be, I don't know, right? So much easier to get the highlights and to understand, and a much faster way to comprehend the crap you're signing up for. So anyway, that's my tip of the day. There's my tip of the day. Throw all your all the publicly available terms and conditions that you have agreed to into ChatGPT and ask it questions about that.
Well, that's also a really good thing in my opinion, on being able to recognize a good lawyer is one that can articulate those elements as close to common sense language so that everybody understands, right? Because the real good law is law that is easy to grasp the concept of, so that you know the spirit of it, not just the fine details of it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, Rob said I once had a job where they said, explain it to me like a toddler. It was real hard not to get condescending.
Yes. I was going to say that too.
I don't like it when people are like, tell me like I'm 5. I'm
yes. I heard that a lot too. If you can explain it to me like you're 5, then you know what you're doing.
Right. But it is, I think Rob's right though. It is hard to not be condescending. I was catching myself doing that. So once I realized kind of the caliber of my audience at the conference, it was really, I had to pause a lot. Like the whole course of my talk went different than what I had rehearsed because because these are brilliant clinicians. You know, a lot of them had their doctorates. It felt awkward to explain to brilliant clinicians at they're 5. Like I was like, this is not okay. So I had to keep it very not like I had to really hone in on the condescension that can naturally creep up whenever you start to visualize that
know
you're
that.
yeah, like it was one of those things, and that was difficult to navigate, but damn it, I did it. Go me.
Yeah.
You guys.
Tosin, this whole thing, you probably do that on both directions, right? Because you're kind of in the middle between the people, the different elements of the company, and the technical side.
Yeah.
So you're probably doing it in both directions. How do you manage that?
So it's like I said earlier, it's understanding my audience. That's the first thing for me. What is my audience? Are these technical people? Then we talk technically. Are these just business people? Then I have to break it farther down without using the technical jargons. Kind of explaining it with an analogy or with some type of concept that they can relate to easily to help them understand the reason why we're having that conversation, and not really going into this tool, that tool, that tool. You get to lose the business people from being technical when you're having conversations with them. And then when they start to ask those technical questions, then you can let them know, okay, this is how we get there. This is what this is. Then you know that you're at that level with them. But first, it's more general. Hey, this is it. Just like the bicycle and helmet analogy that you use, something like that they can really relate to, So there's something important to everybody. So it's, what is the benefit? What benefit are you getting from this? How is this going to make your work easier, better, help you bring more value to the organization from that type of view? And then we'll talk about the how we get there. And that's when the technology comes in.
Well, how about explaining the business to the technical?
Yeah, that. It's more to say, well, you bring in this tech, how is this going to help the business people?
Right.
What problem are you trying to solve with this technology? Are you just bringing a shiny new object, or you're trying to solve a particular problem that's going to help them? That gets them to start thinking around that area, and then kind of do their research and make sure that they bring in the right tool to solve the right problem. And then kind of, how is it going to solve the problem? You don't just buy the tool and dump it on them. It is a lot.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh no! We lost Tosin. Hopefully she'll come back in. No, that's exactly. Man, she was on a good point too.
Yes. Yes.
No. Anyhow, I hope I understand. Thank you. Please stand by. We have technical ditch. No. She'll probably jump back in. I think so. I think she'll jump back in. She was on a break.
If she's in the midst of conversing, she may not quite realize that she got dropped until she's asking a question or waiting for us to respond.
Let's hope she didn't. Yeah, let's hope she didn't have the tab closed while she, because I could always tell as soon as somebody dropped. But
or internet went out.
Yeah. I've had, but to her point though, that I think she was making, right? It's whenever you have teams that come in and ask for something, then that's one of my first questions too. Is they'll say, we want XYZ, and I'll say, how do you currently function? She's trying to come back. Maybe she's trying to come back. Can you hear us? No. Okay.
Yes, I can.
Yay!
Perfect. We can't see you, but we hear you. So good. Okay. You were on this point about people asking for tools and what problem were they actually trying to solve?
Yes. So we have different tools out there, assuming it's going to solve all the problems, but it depends on the kind of business problem we're trying to solve with it. Because at the end of the day, the technical team, the IT team are not bringing, they say we're not bringing business to the organization, we're just always spending. So the way we bring value back is actually solving a problem. So it's more to say, this tool is going to help you solve this problem in this type of way. And then when they relate to that, then they ask you how. Then you can start to show them how the tool is going to solve the problem, not just the tool, and then finding what problem to solve the tool with. So it's understanding the why first. The why, what are you trying to solve? What values is this going to bring to the organization? What values is this going to bring to the business unit?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you went to a conference and they told you about this wonderful tool that's going to help regulatory things go quicker, and then you bring it into the organization. Do they have that problem? Do they already have a tool that you can make better?
Yep.
Are you adding tools to the pack of tools that they already have that is not working? You know, understanding all that basics would help.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah, because you get some organizations are so large, and then also each department or team is so siloed off from each other that team A over here may have already procured and implemented a tool for whatever business process they're trying to, have some support with. And then you have this team way over here that's suddenly raising their hand going, yes, I need the same. There she is. Yes, I need this tool. And it happens to be the same tool. Like if you just spread it out some.
Yes. Just,
Everybody
expand the license. Just buy more license instead of starting the whole RFP process, the whole procurement process all over again. To now find out that, well, we already have this type of tool that solves the same problem.
Exactly.
Now we signed a 3-year contract. How do we get out of it?
Whoops. Yeah, that's when you call Rachel and I help you do that. Or if you're at Eli Lilly, I have a feeling you call Tosin, but
that's classic for situations too, where hey, if it's a technical tool that you're buying, might you want to include IT in the conversation?
Always.
Just thinking,
1,000%.
But you're hitting spot on too. The whole concept that a lot of knob twisters tend to forget, right, is to make sure that you are doing your process to meet the needs of the people instead of trying to have the people meet the needs of the product.
True.
Right. Yeah. That gets difficult because it has to be kind of both ways.
Yeah.
Because, products can't be completely across the board either. So
true. Yes.
That is a challenge.
Sometimes there's a gap between two different technical tools. You just need something in between those two tools to solve the problem that you're trying to be the solution to the problem you're trying to solve. But if you don't do your homework, especially when you work in a big enterprise, you don't do your homework to see what do we have, what capabilities do we have, how can we make it better? Do we need to talk to the organization to see what does that pipeline looks like? Are they intending to bring this on in the next 6 months, 1 year? And then we wait for that. Can we wait for that? Kind of do your homework before you bring new things in and just it's in, and then it's like a technical debt because it's an additional thing that we don't need.
Right. And I've come into so many organizations before where they have not legacy tooling as in, now it's unsupported and dead and right. Why are we still paying for this? But more like a shadow tooling kind of thing where somebody has bought something in the past, utilized it. Now them and their whole team has been replaced completely by all new people. And this tool got kind of left to the wayside because the new team wants to use a different tool, right? For some other, and they add that one on. Yeah. And it's like nobody stopped to ask the procurement and sourcing team or, the current team leader or group or whoever. They don't have any place where just the history of the steps and tooling and licensing.
Yes.
Yeah. There's nothing left behind. They just don't know it's there kind of thing. And you guys reach out to your procurement and sourcing teams before you whoever that designated person is, right? When you're like, or ask your manager, man, hey, I want to do this. Do we have anything similar to this tool that I'm accustomed to, right? Yes. Usually they know a lot too.
Yes, they do. Or understand the contract year. Are we getting to the end of the contract year? Do we need to start looking for a different technology? Can we expand the contract? It's something we want to keep. If we don't want to keep it, when do we have to deal with it for? Because there's no point buying something new. Do we have just 1 year of the contract? Okay, we'll deal with this pay for 1 more year. And then we'll let go and then we bring on board what we actually want. It's just understanding those things, and reducing the technical debt of an organization, that's how you can add value that way too.
Right. Exactly. That was a big thing that I did with Activision Blizzard when I was with them last year. It was just going through and reducing that sort of technical debt across the board. And I worked very closely with the sourcing and procurement team that was specific to the categories. Like it was great. It was awesome. And we brought about a year-over-year spend savings that also enabled the team to bring on all of these new full-time employees, which was so cool to watch that team grow. And like, I was like, fly, little birds, fly.
I'm all about that, you know. It's just really nice. It's like you have this shiny, new, beautiful tool that 10% of the organization is utilizing, 90% can stand it. Okay, just what do you need to do to get rid of it? And those 10% don't actually need it. They just like it. It's not like it's bringing any value, major value to them. It just makes their work different. What value is it bring to the organization? How much are you going to save when you let go of it? You know, so.
Yeah.
So Jade in the chat brought up what is some businesses, I'm sure, but one of the luxuries of business is that they have folks at the top that can say, no, sorry, this way. Education, there is so much where, no, I have my right to have what I want.
Research.
In education, you have to support everything. It's like, oh,
yeah, that exactly. Well, I think this has been awesome. I really enjoyed hanging out with you. I'm really glad that you came and stopped by and had, well, I don't know if you're drinking coffee, but I do. So I drink enough for all of us.
I drink coffee. I'm trying to wean a little away from it because I started drinking coffee at the age of 13. So
I started really young too. They said it was going to stunt my growth, but I'm definitely 6 feet tall. So lies. Definitely lies. It's so good to hang out with you and to have some of these conversations. And I just,
it was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Same here. Nice to meet you guys too. This was nice too. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. I hope we capped off a wonderful week for you.
Yeah, you did. Tomorrow's my birthday, so this is nice.
That's right. It is.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
That's fantastic. Well, good. Well, if you guys want to connect with Tosin, there's a QR code. It'll lead you to her LinkedIn. Go and connect.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, and tell her happy birthday. If you'd like to find out more about PIMA Cybersecurity, the IT Center of Excellence, all things Will, you go to that QR code right there. And if you want to hang out more with Rachel at SecureNation, there's that one. I flashed them all up at different times during our stream today. So final thoughts. That's where we're at right now. We're at final thoughts. Do we have final thoughts?
Yeah, I do. If you're a female or anyone aspiring to go into tech, just know that there's room for you. You know, we're looking for more women in tech, looking for people to join tech. It doesn't matter what background you have. And then if you're trying to transition, there's a lot of transferable skills. Just don't let anything stop you. Just go for what you want. You have the resources. Reach out to people that are already in the field. Find organizations that you can sign up for to join and get more information about what you like to do, and just go for it. Don't sit on it. Go for it.
Yep. I agree. I love it. It would be great if I went to conferences and there was a line for the ladies' restroom that's as long as the line for the men's. I would be a little miffed, but I would be excited at the same time. That would be very nice. Will, final thoughts?
Tosin, I appreciate your honesty and clarity in showing the challenges, the hard work that it takes, the fortitude that you have to build in yourself. That applies for every student, everyone trying to get going, everyone trying to make things happen. It's not automatic, and you're not alone. If it's hard, you're not alone. It takes strength. And then I also appreciate your clarity on asking questions. Man, that's a powerful statement. And for many, that takes a great deal of courage, but what
Yeah.
comes out of that is absolutely invaluable. So thank you for articulating that and clarifying that for folks, especially for all the students watching. I mean, that's a fantastic mentoring. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm happy to do that.
Thank you guys so much for grabbing cups and circling up. We will see you next week, same bat time, same bat channel. And you all have a great and wonderful weekend. And don't forget to wear your helmets. See you next time.